What's up, Griff? What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Griff hates me right now, I swear to God. Because I kid you not. Ladies,
No, we are doing, I don't care, we're doing this live. Go into the Take This shared folder and click on Take This episode 45 that follows the same naming convention as all the other episodes and not just the one you made called episode 45. Because I actually filled it out earlier today.
So we had no communication for this episode at all. I am the worst, apparently. So what you want me to go into? So you want me to go into our Google Drive and go into the one
that shared with me.
That I shared with you, the one that's called "There is no Take This episode 45."
Yes, there is.
No, there is not. I can send you a screenshot if you would like that. But I swear to God, I swear on my mother's grave that there is not a Take This episode 45.
Because I see your episode 45.
I just sent
you the link to it in Discord if you would like to just open it through there.
I would love to do that actually. That would be preferable. But
now that this is on the rails, hey guys, we're talking about Final Four and March Madness, and we're also going to break down baseball, specifically the Tigers and their upcoming season outlook. So yeah,
once this stupid update comes out, then we'll get to it, Griff. Because I'm updating Discord. It's installing them. It takes a second. But I have a MacBook, so it shouldn't take too long.
That doesn't change anything.
Got it. They changed their terms of service, in case you wanted to know.
Ooh, fun.
So, oh my God. Finally. Okay, there we go. You didn't even add like a format with like bold titling or anything. You just went in and were like, this is where we're here. Griff, I want to open actually. Now I actually have a plan. So now I want to open with a question for you.
Okay.
What was your final score on your March Madness bracket?
Oh, like the final.
You don't even got it open, do you? No, you're like so far. You know, like right now we got the Final Four coming, like on the way, right?
Do I have to pull it up?
Oh my God, yes you do.
What's really
your rank?
bad.
What's your rank?
My rank?
Yeah, like how
I'll tell you this. 520 points, 54%. Not great.
Not great.
So I had Arizona winning it all. They didn't even make it to the fucking Elite Eight. I had Villanova. I did have I had Villanova losing to Arizona. Remember, I picked Duke to lose to Michigan State, which, by the way, did almost happen. Okay.
Yeah, that is fair. Like Michigan State almost beat Duke, if not for failing at the final seconds.
I had Texas Tech go. So here's the thing, though. I had Texas Tech going to the Final Four, and again, that was dependent on Michigan State beating Duke because I thought Texas Tech would beat Michigan State, and then they would beat Gonzaga. Well, because I thought I rightfully predicted Gonzaga frauds. And then, I had Baylor. They didn't even make it to the fucking Sweet 16. I had Baylor going to the Final Four. And the only thing I got right was Kansas making the Final Four.
So Kansas is my champion. Kansas and Duke are in my championship game.
Oh, you have, your bracket's all over the place, I'm sure, but how many in the Final Four Did you
half.
predict correctly?
I got 50%. I had.
Who else? So who else did you have other than
I had
Duke
Villanova,
and-
who. Well, I'm sorry, I didn't have Villanova. Villanova's in. I had Arizona, and
I think Arizona losing really killed a lot of people.
Well, because nobody
Houston's-
anticipated so many 1 seeds being out.
Yeah, I mean,
Right?
this
Like-
really was the year. This is the year of the 2 seed. Two seeds made the Final Four. The number 8 seed North Carolina, which they're better than. the 8
It's still
seed.
North Carolina, right? Like, they're not a normal 8 seed.
Yeah, and then you have Kansas being Kansas. So,
Well, but
yeah,
I had I had Duke. I'm sorry. I had Duke. I had UCLA. That was my other one. So I almost had it because UCLA was the 4
They ran
seed.
into
So
North-
I kind of thought that UCLA would be the
and I'll tell
the
you
bottom
what, man,
seed.
if
that
it
would
was
make it.
UCLA, if they beat Carolina, they would have had St. Peter's, and they probably win that game.
Yeah, but what's funny though too is, you know, and you're right. Like, if they were to beat UCLA or North Carolina, their road to the Final Four would have been relatively easy.
It would have been a lot easier.
So that is not unrealistic to think of. And so what's really upsetting for me in my bracket though, so my rank was 1.8 million and I had 650 points. And my thing says 90%, but I don't know what that means. I think it refers to
You're in the 90 percentile.
Is that good?
Or yeah, you're in the upper 10.
Because
10%.
I think what the only difference between my bracket and a lot of other people's brackets is that the games that I got wrong were games like low leverage games where like those
And
teams
also
that
games
lost
probably
did not.
everyone else got wrong.
Right. The only thing stopping my West bracket from being 100% correct was Gonzaga's loss to Arkansas.
Right.
My entire West bracket was 100%. So except for the Arkansas game, I had Gonzaga losing to Duke in the Elite 8 matchup, but I did not have Gonzaga lose to Arkansas. And I don't know that Gonzaga would have lost to Duke, but that's all I'm saying is those 2 games were the only ones that you can't really, because I correctly predicted Notre Dame and Alabama, New Mexico State, sorry. That game I predicted correctly. And then the Duke, Michigan State game as well, and Texas Tech and everything. So I'm very proud about that, but very upset that Arkansas had to win against Gonzaga. So
Yeah, I think so. The thing I wanted to kind of touch on with this Final Four is so this tourney. I mean, all March is madness, right? Like March Madness is just that madness, right? There's always crazy shit happening, all the way back to the first weekend. St. Peter's knocking off Kentucky, going on this great Cinderella run, making it to the Elite 8. Like that's just awesome, man. To win 3 games and beat a 2, a 7, and a 3 seed as a 15 seed, and your college has like 2,000 people at it. That's pretty fucking cool. And
yeah, the St. Peter story is it might be cooler than the Oral Roberts thing that happened last year.
Yeah, I think it is because they went on a longer run, and they really didn't have a chance against North Carolina, but it's still cool nonetheless.
Well, and Seton Hall ended up hiring the coach of St. Peter's.
He was, I think, a player at Seton Hall, if I remember correctly. I can't always forget his name.
I don't know. You think I'm versed in college basketball news? Not at all. Not at all.
Not at all.
Like, well, the site I write for, theonlycolors.com, that covers Michigan State and everything. Like right now, I've been covering a lot of Michigan State baseball, stuff like that. Like Michigan State plays the Lansing Lugnuts next weekend, and I'm going to that, which is exciting. And so baseball's my thing, right? Or like I just went to Michigan State's football conference. Like football, I totally get football, right? Like I totally understand it. Basketball, not so much. I could not say that I am a basketball analyst, but I watch it enough to sort of understand it. Like I'm up to date. But I will not say that basketball is my, some people say that they're like college basketball people. I am not. No, I just don't, I guess I just don't understand it. Like I never watched the NBA, like that's like watching pro basketball confuses the hell out of me because sometimes it just looks like the players just don't care, because they're like,
well,
not that they don't care, but like they're so good that like defense
take possessions off.
Right.
Like that's the term in football. Oh, they took that play off. Sometimes they take possessions off.
And well, because I'm like watching, and like you'll see some dude drive to the basket with like no resistance from the defense whatsoever, and I'm like, I don't get, I just don't understand the point. Like, I guess I don't know.
Yeah.
Again, that's just me, but I've never.
There's to get back to kind of what this tournament was, right? There was a lot of craziness with the 1 seeds, Arizona, Baylor, and Gonzaga all knocked out. We had a 2 seed lose in the opening round of 64, and obviously just a lot of crazy things here and there. Miami beating Auburn, St. Peter's beating, going on their run. North Carolina, I don't really feel like it was a super upset. I mean, hell, you could almost say Michigan beating Tennessee just because, it's an 11 and a 3 seed. Although I don't think it's that much. I don't think it's a crazy upset.
An upset is usually defined in college basketball by being like, what is it, 5 seed difference, right? So like Michigan beating Colorado State, for example, like I don't think I would consider that an upset, even though the difference was 5 seeds, right? But Michigan also was
considered Tennessee an upset. It was an upset in that I think I didn't expect them to win, and I think a lot of people probably didn't, but they did. They came out and played well.
The odd thing about Michigan season is that I still don't know what Michigan is and what they were the whole season. Like, I did not understand them.
No, I'll tell you exactly what they were. Inconsistent.
As hell. Like, you could have tossed a coin at any game that they played. I mean, Michigan State, like, at least there were times where, like, Michigan State pulled through, right? Or, like they worried you, but they weren't awful. Like, even in the first game that they played against Kansas on a neutral game at Madison Square Garden, like, at least with that game, you could kind of see, like, some competitive, like, nature and that they were competing. But Tom Izzo loves playing those big games all the, time at the beginning of the season. But, like, it was just, you could tell what was crippling them, right? Like, inconsistent turnovers, and, they had to work on some things, had to get some things out if they were going to be, consistent in March. But then with Michigan, like, you got a team at their lowest that loses to the University of Central Florida, right? And then, that was insane. Like, that Michigan lost that game. But then you have games where they, like, somehow decide to beat Tennessee or whatever, right? Like there are just certain games that they were surprising me both for the worse and for the better. So I still don't know, like, what that identity means to them. They didn't really have an identity at any point in the season.
Yeah.
And they should have, and they could have beaten Villanova too, which is the crazy part.
They could have, and there was a lot of people, Spartan fans, national people were like, listen, I don't know if I could pick them to win, but I'm not going to be surprised if they do, because you have a non-negotiable in Hunter Dickinson, regardless of how you feel about him and his ridiculousness at times. he is a big he can bully.
He's undefendable. Not a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of guys don't. A lot of teams don't have guys that can defend him.
Yeah.
You know, like.
So yeah,
they got the
they
best
very
guy
well
in the
could
floor.
have, but obviously, Villanova, very good team, and they are now in the Final Four. And I think, as crazy as this tournament felt, it feels like we got to the Final Four that makes it's the most blue blood Final Four you could get aside from Kentucky, right? You have Duke. You have Duke. I consider North Carolina a blue blood. Kansas definitely is a blue blood, and Villanova. Some people have it's borderline, but they are a basketball school, right? They're known.
They beat Michigan in the national championship a few years ago. So
no, yeah, they've won national titles.
Right.
They
recent
one.
One.
I think it's just like the prestige. Like Kansas has always been a basketball school, whereas Villanova, I feel, is a little more recent, even though they've been good for the last decade now. I think people just don't realize a decade has gone by. But either way, whether you want to say they're all blue bloods or they're all powerhouses in basketball, and I found this interesting. I was thinking about this when I was driving home from work today. I got stuck on a train, by the way. That shit, awful.
Is it that one on Wixom?
Yeah. Oh my God. You know the one Wixom.
Dude, I used to work at the pizza place on the corner of that. So yeah. Well, and I also worked at the Menards on Wixom Road. So,
yep.
So yeah, I know exactly the train you're talking about.
It's the worst.
Oh, it is. Yeah, because they stop. They have to drop off some shit for some business that's on that road or on that train the train tracks. So because they have to stop at the train tracks, they hold up a bunch of fucking people. I always think to myself, I'm like, what if some asshole's dying and the fire truck or the ambulance has got to get by? What do they do then?
Yeah,
it's
crazy.
I know exactly what you're talking about, and it makes me heated every time I think about it.
Yeah. So we kind of have this powerhouse, but what I want to ask is, so you know how, I see a lot of people that are not happy about it, right? Because a lot of people don't like rooting for, they like rooting for the underdog. But in football, professional football and even professional basketball, everyone loves when the powerhouses are always there. And maybe that's because it's consistently the same players. Like, when you keep seeing the same coach, but it's a new set of players, you're kind of just like, it's the same thing with college football. People hate Alabama. People hate Duke in basketball because they're successful, and it's annoying always seeing them. And even in the NFL, you got that with the Patriots, but that's only because they won 7 times in a row.
Look at the most recent Super Bowl. Did you think that the Bengals were the best team in the league? I mean, in the AFC. I don't think,
would anyone have been super mad if it was like Green Bay? People would have been mad if it was Tampa, but that's just because it's Tom Brady. Let's say it was Green Bay against who was probably the Bills were probably the best team in the AFC from if I was going to do a power ranking, either the Bills or the Chiefs. Would people really be mad about Packers Chiefs? I don't think so. I don't think people, unless you hate a specific person on that team, I don't think people hate when powerhouse teams make it, because I just don't think you can have as much staying power in the pros, because it's built to be cyclical, whereas in college, there's a reason Duke and North Carolina and Kansas have always been good. They're a powerhouse school, and I think people just get tired of it, and it gets almost boring. And I think that's kind of I don't know. I feel all the hype around the first 2 weekends of March Madness, when this was the Final Four, people are still talking about it, but it just felt like all of that hype just deflated, because oh, Coach K, oh, Kansas, oh.
Right.
The only cool thing is that It's North Carolina versus Duke for the first time ever in the tourney, which is crazy that it's never happened before.
Well, sort of. They
usually. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say it's sort of, but that's only because of what is it, the way that they do the brackets now? Like, you know what I mean? Like they specifically place Duke and North Carolina because they're in the ACC. They specifically place them on opposite ends of the bracket most of the time, so that way they never like play each other, right? Like if you have, say, Duke and North Carolina are both 2 seeds, like obviously they're gonna be in separate brackets, but like you're gonna put them on, you got one bracket here and one bracket here, you're gonna put that like one here and one here, you know, so they don't have to, when they meet, it has to be in the championship. Like there was one, I think there was one instance, and I could be wrong, but I'm trying to remember it correctly, where Duke and North Carolina were both Final Four teams, and one made it in and one didn't to the championship. And that was a year, right, where they were placed exactly on opposite ends of the bracket.
Yeah.
So if they were going to meet each other, it was going to be in the championship game. So it's very rare that 2 ACC. I mean, it's the same reason why like Michigan State or like Michigan or like other Big Ten teams they rarely meet Big Ten teams, because you're trying to get that sort of the whole point, I guess, of March Madness is that these teams have never had to figure each other out. I think that's sort of the magic in March Madness, is that like these teams have never played each other. So it's almost like in baseball when a pitcher plays like when a pitcher faces a team from the other league, right? Like they never face each other, so how are you supposed to scout that? Like you can't, based on just the history there. So
right.
You know what I mean? Cuz like I mean you got teams that like, you know, are based on their scheduling could be taken for granted, and because of that, March Madness is very, very magical in creating just random occurrences, so much that it's, you know, kind of takes probability out of it. But
But
it is interesting, I think, especially because of North Carolina being they just beat Duke at home. And Coach K even said,
they beat Duke in Coach K's last home game.
Right.
It was awesome. I loved it.
And I mean, even Duke, I think that Duke is a better team now than they were when they played North Carolina.
Yeah, probably. They've been on a roll lately.
And I mean, Duke, when again, like Michigan State, if they had beaten Duke, that was one of Michigan State's best games all season. That has probably got to be one of their best games they played all season. And I was not happy with anything that they did this season for the most part. But like, it wasn't, you know, if Michigan State had beaten Duke, it wouldn't be a situation where Michigan State beat Duke on an off day. Like, they would have beaten a really good Duke team.
Yeah.
And again, like, Duke's one of those schools, though, too, where if they struggle in the regular season at all, like, they always seem to, you know, Coach K and all those, like, really storied coaches are going to turn it up when it comes time for, you know, the tournament and the games that matter, right?
Indeed.
But are you excited, Griff, for the Final Four? Who do you think is going to win?
So I'm going to pick North Carolina to beat Duke. I'm going to pick Kansas to beat Nova. And I think I'm going to just be ballsy and say North Carolina wins it all. Fuck it. I hope that's what happens. That's like, that's what I hope happens. I don't know. I'm always team chaos. I know they're, you know, not like a super bad team, but I always root for an underdog.
Yeah.
So yeah, give me Carolina. I just want them to beat Coach K, especially. I don't want him to have the storybook ending.
So I don't think that that's going to happen. In fact, I specifically chose my bracket with a little bit of manifestation. So again, I have Duke in the Final Four, okay? I had them beating UCLA. And then I had Kansas and Arizona in the Final Four. Kansas, I had winning against Arizona, but now it's Kansas and Villanova. I think that Arizona would have been a better opponent for Kansas, like in terms of just matchup to matchup. I think that Kansas is a better team than Villanova. I think that Kansas will win. I'm hoping they win because they are my bracket still is sort of alive. Like having 50% of the Final Four teams is actually pretty good, right? So I think I got Kansas and Duke, but again, I wanted to manifest this. Kansas beats Duke 81-80 in the final game of Coach K's career.
All right.
80. Imagine being Coach K, being this close to walking out with a title, and it's all washed away, and he loses by 1. That is what I've manifested. So maybe we will see. We will absolutely have to see. Meanwhile, Michigan, if you wanted to talk about Michigan, Michigan's in the Frozen Four, Griff, if you want to talk about that.
College hockey. Can't think of a better way to just murder our listening audience.
Yeah, sure. I would love to start a college hockey podcast. You know that?
I'm sure you would, and it would get like all 20 listeners would
listen.
Really
sometimes the more specific the podcast, the better that is. But I don't know. I am just so excited for this weekend, Griff. If you couldn't tell.
Yes.
So.
Why is that, Brad?
Well.
Is it because MLB The Show 22 comes out tonight?
Yes, actually. 100%. Is my... Oh. Could you hear me the whole time?
Yeah, I could.
Really? That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Because I accidentally muted myself, so... Somehow... I don't know if that only came to the headphones. Dude, I am not a technology person, so... You know. Because I could see the levels on the computer, and I was like, wait a second, am I talking to myself? Anyway. It is always a struggle in Brad's studio here. So. All right, Griff, do you want to merge into some baseball?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm wearing my Tigers jersey. It's like a mock jersey. By the way, we were talking, just a little side note, we were talking about City Connect jerseys. One, those are in MLB The Show 22, which is awesome.
I am also excited.
Yeah. I really want the Tigers to have one.
Not this year.
With the Tigers, right? They have a great home jersey. I am not doubting that. Yeah, I'm not. The white on white it's dark, navy blue lettering and symbols. Great. I think their away jersey needs some tweaking. I want them to go back to the old style. But what I really want is I want them to have an alternative jersey, kind of similar to what I'm wearing. This is black with the orange lettering and all that. I want something with the orange in it. And like the away jersey does have a little bit of orange, but I want something that's like this level of orange. I'd love to see them wear like all black, like black jersey, black pants, black socks with orange accents, orange lettering and stuff, or something similar to their spring training where it's like the navy blue with orange or navy blue and white, something like a just different, man. I want to see them with a cool jersey style. I'd like for them just to have an alternative, like a normal alternative on top of.
I have sort of started to come around on some of this. And the one thing, like, because I'm talking about having orange in the Tigers jersey. And so, do you remember what the 1995 Detroit Tigers alternate jerseys looked like? They had them for one day. Sorry if I'm getting distracted. My fiance is currently pulling goldfish out of her tote bag as she walks back to the bedroom. So, that is, I love that. I would crave goldfish right now as well. Anyway, so you don't remember what they look like, Griff. They had them for a day. They're in MLB The Show. I'm not even joking. They are in MLB The Show. Why they are, I don't know. Because they are the most hideous things I've ever seen. So the Tigers have that alternate like logo where it's the tiger crawling through the D. Right? You're aware of that.
Yeah. Yep.
So they had navy blue jersey and navy blue pants, I'm pretty sure. And they were disgusting. Like, the only thing I could think of that was worse was when the White Sox decided to wear shorts. So they have this navy blue jersey, and they had the tiger like logo, like the old fashioned, like not even the signature D, but the one with the tiger crawling through the D. They had that. I don't know why they decided to put that on the jersey. Anyway, and then they had numbering on the front, and then the lettering had like, it was white, and then it had blue on the inside of the stroke, and then on the outside it was orange, and it was disgustingly ugly. Like, it was probably so bad. And if anything, those jerseys traumatized fans because they got rid of them, and now they're like, any other jersey besides this plain white one is awful. But I will say, for some reason, the Tigers have like some sort of hatred against anything new. I mean, you got a bunch of 80-year-old guys that are like, back in my day, whatever. But you got the Red Sox now that wear red and blue jerseys. The Baltimore Orioles have a black jersey. The Mets just brought back their black jerseys from the early 2000s. So it's not, when the Tigers do release their City Connect jerseys, whether it's now or 2023, which is probably what it will be, the Tigers fans, they will riot, and I'm not even joking.
Yeah. No, they for whatever reason they don't.
Well, it'll be like if the Yankees
old heads.
Imagine if the Yankees decided to have like an alternative jersey.
Yeah.
But the Red Sox do. Like, the Red Sox decided to start having, like, and they're a storied franchise.
It's that big of a deal. I just don't think it's that big of a deal.
No, absolutely not. You know what I would love to see is a Tigers jersey that just has regular white pants, okay? But you got a blue jersey that is basically like an inside out of their home jersey. So like you got blue, like a blue jersey with the the stitching that comes down like the chest or whatever, and you have a white D, like it's just white instead of blue. You know what I mean? Just inside out sort of thing. Like, I don't even care about the orange at this point. I mean, orange is in their color scheme, and for some reason they don't have it in their home jersey. But whatever, right?
Yeah.
But I can't wait. I really can't wait. I'm excited.
Let's actually jump in like to the Tigers season, because Brad, I don't want to say your Mets fandom has receded. I just think I think you're a little more. The Tigers have.
I'm involved. The
Tigers have potentially turned a corner.
Sort of.
And what that means is they are in a position where they're not going to be selling everything at the deadline. They're going to be moving. They're going to be competing for a playoff spot. At least that's based on what we're seeing. they should, and with an expanded playoff, 12 teams now.
Okay, but is the expanded playoff really a big deal? There were 10 teams before.
I know. It's
not a lot more. It's not like they're jumping
No, but it's 2 extra teams.
Yeah, but it's not like they're trying to expand the college football playoff from 4 to 12. That is not...
All I'm saying is the Tigers feel like they're in a position where if they didn't expand the playoff, they would be right on the edge of the wild card if they didn't make the 10th spot.
Yeah.
So but now with the expanded playoff, they could get the 11th or 12th. That's where it feels like they'll finish, as the 11th, 12th best team in baseball. At least it feels like they could. That's why it matters. Because I don't think they're a top 8 team. I think maybe 9 or 10 would be their ceiling, depending on how the season goes, obviously. So I'll start with this, Brad.
Yeah.
It's FanDuel Sportsbook. Has the Detroit Tigers regular season win total at over under 77.5.
Okay.
So I will tell you right now where I am on that number.
Mm-hmm.
And I would hammer the over on that with one big if.
Yeah.
There's a big asterisk.
Okay.
I would place this bet, but I would immediately cancel it before opening day, depending on this bit of information. Are Riley Green and Spencer Torkelson in the starting lineup?
Right. So here's my thing. Because, AJ Hinch has even said some stuff about this, right? Where he said that he doesn't know if or when the, Green or Torkelson are ready.
Coy, and
I think that he's just been cautious, and that's sort of a PR thing, right? Like, when you're talking to the press, you don't want to be, yeah, they're going to make the team, and then if something falls through, then, fuck, what do you do? Because there's a lot of fans that you promise that to, if something happens, whatever, right? But here's my thing, right? Like there are instances, I think, where bringing up a team or a player is a detriment to them. My best example I can think of is no, Manning is...
Well, potentially. It's weird. He's a weird situation.
He's fine.
Go ahead. Give your example.
The Tigers did not have an option with Matt Manning. They did not have any depth on their team. They had to bring him up because of injury. He did not deserve to be there. So it was interesting because a lot of people were like, send him back down. I'm like, they don't have an option. They have to have him on the team because their 40-man roster is sort of full. So if they wanted to bring someone else up who, whether or not he had major league experience or maybe he was a better pitcher than Manning at the time, they could not bring them up because adding someone else to the 40-man means kicking off a prospect. And when you kick off a prospect, you got to push them to waivers. It's not like you can just move them between seamlessly. But now the Tigers have that depth that they need to start Manning in AAA. Khalil Lee with the Mets is my best example. But at the same time, the Mets they had a year last year where they were literally strangled. They had 20 or 30 players on the injured list throughout the season. So there are times, when that happens. But with Torkelson, no, not at all. With Green, no, not at all. I think they've shown enough in spring training that they deserve to be here. But it's hard to say. I think that they absolutely improved the roster. I don't think that there's any question about that. I just don't understand. I think that it's a non-negotiable situation at this point for Detroit.
Listen, you add Javi Baez, and we've talked about this.
One of the most exciting guys.
Definitely, I think you and I.
He is a difference maker on the team now.
No, he is gonna save you a ton of runs in the middle infield. He is gonna hit you home runs. and he's going to be a playmaker, and he's going to be exciting, and that is great. Okay, I have two big issues with Baez, and neither one is really his fault. So the one is I wanted Correa, and I felt like them not getting Correa showed me that Illich didn't want to spend money. And this leads into the second issue of, whoa. They spent a ton of money on Javi Baez. He can leave after 2 years. And if he's any good, he's going to. That contract is so frustrating because if he's good,
the contract sucks.
Him or he's gone. And guess what? Erod, also a very good signing, a very good addition to this rotation. I'm very happy with him. He has the same opt-out after 2 years in his contract. And guess what? He's probably gone if he's any good in 2 years.
And
so again, these aren't issues. These are going to be issues in 2024. So we're going to have to see how that goes. But looking at it this year, you have a starting rotation, Casey Mize, Rodriguez, you have Matt Manning, Tariq Skubal. This is in no particular order. I'm just naming them as they come to mind. And you kind of have that fifth guy. You have who they just signed someone. He was
Miguel Pineda.
Twins. Pineda, yes. That is a solid starting rotation, especially with the progression.
It's a manageable rotation now.
It's not good. It's not Matt Boyd.
Well,
right? It's not Matt Boyd.
Yeah.
So, and especially,
thank God.
It's only been spring training, but what was Mize's pitch? Was it it wasn't the slider. What
splitter.
Pitch was it?
Not the
splitter. Thank you. Yeah. Looks like a very good pitch.
So his splitter,
very exciting.
His splitter is the best strikeout pitch from a Detroit Tigers pitcher since Justin Verlander's curveball.
Right.
Like, absolutely.
And then Skubal has the screwball, right? The SKRUBAL. That's kind of what people here have been coining it as. Because he has a pretty nasty sliding curve. I think that that starting rotation is manageable. I'm still worried about the bullpen. I wish they had done more there. But I look at the spring training lineups and I see, Akil Baddoo leading it off, or Robbie Grossman leading it off, playing as like an outfielder or something. You have Akil Baddoo in the 2 slot, also playing outfield. Miguel Cabrera and Javi Baez in like the 3-4. Miggy probably is going to be a DH a lot this year because Torque's going to be at first. And then you're going to have the bottom end of the lineup is going to be a mix of Torkelson, Green, Barnhart, the catcher, and Scope. Scope will probably be in the 3 or 5 slot, I would imagine. Depending on the day. They're going to mix things up.
Well, and that's what you got to do nowadays. I think that
Miggy actually will probably be in the 5. By the way, did you know Miggy has played in 1,000 MLB games since the last time he was in the 5 slot or lower in the batting lineup?
Really?
And it probably will happen this year. And you know what? I've hated on Miguel Cabrera a lot for a variety of reasons.
He's better than he was a few years ago.
And you know what? He has taken the role of he realizes he cannot do what he used to do. He's taken the mentorship role. He has said, "Hey, you know what? I'm not going to be playing first as much this year because we need to make way for Spencer Torkelson.
Right.
I'm not going to be in the cleanup spot as much or at all this year because I need to make room for guys like Baez and Scope and Torque to be in that heart of the lineup because those are our bigger power hitter type guys." So, I look at that lineup and I'm like, if Torkelson and Green are in that lineup and Javi Baez can get his strikeouts under control, that was his big issue, right? Hits a lot of home runs, also strikes out a lot. If he can get the strikeout thing figured out and get the bat on the ball a little bit more, I'm really excited to just watch this team. And I think they can very easily win 80 games, especially, if AJ Hinch keeps doing what AJ Hinch does and just absolutely killing it as a manager.
So you mentioned the over-under thing.
Yep.
So I wouldn't touch that bet with a 10-foot pole.
It's definitely scary.
So that is probably one of the, even if there's Torkelson and Green, like they're still rookies. Like I took Torkelson in my fantasy baseball league just because fuck it, right? Like I've never played fantasy baseball and I don't know. It's fun, right? So with a bunch of Reds fans and then there's me. But I'm excited. But I took Torkelson, which is against every betting advice ever. Not betting advice, but fantasy advice for baseball. Because the advice with baseball is to be as safe as you possibly can. Because you don't know, like, you want to get value later in picks. But, like, your first picks are the best picks that you're going to get. You're not going to have, there's no room to be risky at the beginning because, the like player drop off is so gradual over time. So it's like hard to say. You just don't want to be like risky. But that's the same way I feel here, right? Where like you got a bunch of young pitchers. You got Casey Mize and Tarek Skubal who will probably not pitch more than 170 innings. And so, like, you know what I mean? Like, they're still young. You got Torkelson and Green. We don't know what they're going to contribute. But I do know that after today, I am full in on Green being center field. Like, full send.
Because of that catch?
Just that alone. That was insane. I mean to steal that hit from Bo Bichette was insane. And it's just... But I would not bet the over or the under. I think that it could go south quickly. I will say if I had to predict for the next couple seasons on the Tigers, I would bet that they are going to win around 80 games this year. But a lot of that is the detriment of being in the AL Central. Like the White Sox will probably end up with around 95. The Tigers and Twins will probably end up around 80. And then, I don't know. But that does not mean the Tigers and the Twins are good. That just means that there's more wins to go around for the AL Central since there will probably be less sweeps. There will probably be more like 2-1s, 2-2s in series between the AL Central. And Chicago will end up winning most of them. And you know what? It's just not. I just don't think that the Tigers can compete for the playoffs this year because the AL East is so dominant right now. So you got Toronto and New York and Boston and Tampa Bay who will all be competing for the playoffs. And there is a very good chance that I could see the AL East taking 2 of 3 wild card spots. And then you have. What is it? Oh, the next season, the Tigers, AJ Hinch can leave after this year. Is that correct?
He can leave after this season, and that is probably my biggest concern for the future success of the franchise.
So in a way, like the general manager Alavila, his job was basically saved by Hinch, and I think that there's going to be a big reality check in 2023 when the team does not do as well as they did this season. So I guess that is what's scary to me, is that the team will improve, but I don't know that their prospects can hold them up. Like teams sustain being good because they are able to find value in later rounds and later picks, right? Like, I mean, you saw that with the Red Wings. Like Datsuk was what, a 13th or 9th round pick or something like that. And Tarek Skubal's a good 9th round pick for the Tigers, but it's not like the Tigers have picked up any other gems. You know, like they were
Right.
on social media saying, "Oh, like we got 3 of the top 100 prospects," and I'm like, "Bruh, like 5 other teams have more than 5." So, like the Orioles right now, they were in the same position as the Tigers right now, and they are still projected to be pretty bad. But the Orioles have like 6 top 100 players. You know, the Diamondbacks have like 5. And they've been, you know what I mean? These teams are turning a corner. The Tigers have not drafted well enough to, I guess, convince me that they're going to be a namestay by any means. I mean, they got Tarek Skubal. They have Kreidler's been pretty good, but they have guys that have shown to be mid-tier, or you know, like if you remember Placido Polanco. Like, you know, you're not going to call him a superstar, but you're going to call him a solid ball player. You know, like guys that weren't like difference makers. And having that talent, though, is going to be what, I guess, keeps you successful. And I don't know. Yeah. I guess I just don't see, I'm sort of involved, but I think my thing now is I just want to be like critical of like what the Tigers are doing, and I guess sort of watch it. You know, I really wish that the Tigers would just get a new broadcasting team so I could actually watch these games.
Matt Shepard is the most brutal commentator.
The Antichrist.
I remember last year I was like, "No, you're being too hard," and I have come full circle to
is the
hating
worst.
Matt Shepard professionally. I'm sure he's a lovely man in real life.
I
want Matt Shepard to be launched out of a professional canon.
Yeah,
I want his professional broadcasting career
kills me.
Figuratively to be launched out of a cannon.
He kills me because it's the dude was not meant for baseball. I've heard that he's an okay like football announcer, like he's pretty good. You know, because I think didn't he do like Western Michigan or something like that? But, like, you watch a Tigers game, and then you got whoever the hell is in the booth with him that has dementia, or whatever, who is, like, 85 years old. What's his name? Jack Morris?
Yeah.
And, like, the dude's got, like, you know, speaks at a speed of, like, 5 miles an hour, and he's, like, it's like witnessing some, like, an accident in full circle, or in real time. So but if you watch some of these other games from like other teams, like the Oakland Athletics or the Atlanta Braves, teams like that, like they're not any better. You know what? I'm not gonna lie. Like the bar for MLB broadcasting is so low, and it's a lot harder to find a good baseball broadcaster.
They're asleep anyway.
It's so much hard. It's so much easier to find a good broadcaster in any other sport. But because baseball is such like a podcast that it's so hard. So like if you don't have like a good relationship with the person that you're with, that's why Joe Buck is going to ESPN, because he knows that he can have someone with him that he's been with for so long. So you know what I mean? It makes the job so much easier, and you know the guy's not going to turn on you. Not like Mario and Pemba did when the whole shit went down with Rod Allen.
Yeah, when they fought each other.
But I will say, you mentioned the Mets. The Mets are blessed. The Mets are blessed to have the broadcast crew that they do have, because I will literally watch Mets games just to listen to that.
Yeah. No, that's fair. Like, and I think a lot of people in Detroit are during the wing. If you're a Red Wings fan, you either have a legend on the in the Bally Sports TV broadcast. You have 2 legends in Ken Daniels and Mickey Redmond,
who have done the game for 25 years. So I have not watched a single Red Wings game that has like not been them.
Unless it's been on
unless they've broadcast, been like sick or something,
or
right?
Been in the playoffs, right? So
right.
And then on the radio, you have Paul Woods and Ken Cal. Ken Cal will probably is a broadcasting Hall of Famer.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's been doing this. So then you go to the Tigers, and their radio team has Dan Dickerson, who has to be one of the best voices in all of baseball. Another probable broadcast Hall of Famer. Fantastic. And then you have Matt Shepard on the TV. So I know a lot of things that Red Wings fans would do, because the ESPN broadcasts for hockey have been so bad, they'll put the radio broadcast on. I will be putting the radio broadcast on for every Tigers game this season and muting the live broadcast, because I do not want to listen to Matt Shepard. Oh, there's a drive. And
what you could do too is
Tigers have won the World Series.
You could do what I do and just put in the you could put on the away team. You know, because Matt Shepard, sometimes when he broadcasts a Tigers game, he sounds like he's talking about the away team. And the interesting thing though is that, like, even some broadcasters like Gary Cohen for the New York Mets, dude is going to be in the Baseball Broadcasting Hall of Fame, okay? What's his name? Howie Rose, I think is his name. Anyway, both of them are going to be in the like Mets, like Broadcasting Baseball Hall of Fame, whatever. And they, even when the other team is doing well, like, at least it's entertaining. You are in the business of entertainment. How are you not entertaining people? What are you doing? You know, like, it's not hard. This is not, you're not supposed to be excited for the other team, but at least make it interesting. Like the Mets, when they're down 15-2, they got their broadcasters like talking about the last time they went to the bar or some shit, like, it's personality, that is, I think, that a lot of people search for, sort of thing. And I'm not saying you got to look for that, but God, give me something.
Yeah,
it's a pain. It is so hard to watch, I think, Tigers games. And if you are in a rebuild, I think that you want sort of that. And I'll tell you one thing too that I forgot to mention. Javier Baez, yeah, he's like technically not as great as Correa would have been. But I will tell you one thing, he does sell a lot of tickets, Baez does, still. And I think that's sort of, like, I guess the justification in his price. Like, you pay for him, but you get a lot of excitement around your team.
Yeah, there's an out of...
They call it the Javier Baez experience for a reason.
Sure they do.
I mean, they do. I promise you will get a lot of excitement and a lot of tickets to be sold as well. I mean, it's not going to be as exciting as going to see the Savannah Bananas would be.
Dude, I love the Savannah. We gotta get to a game.
Yeah, God, let's go to Georgia right now. Let's do it. Dude, it's insane. Like, you could, any baseball executive could learn so much from that shit. Like, every game has a 2-hour time limit. Sign me up right now. Straight up. And it's great.
My favorite rule is the walk rule.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I'm not saying the MLB. Explain to the viewers.
So, in this alternative baseball league, when a pitcher walks a batter 4 balls, it's not so much a walk, it's a sprint. So the thing is, the batter can run, and it is the batter is allowed the
on ball 4.
Yeah, they're allowed to just start running, and they can run around the bases, and it is not a live ball that the base runner can be tagged out with until all 9 players, including the pitcher?
Yeah, all 9 players everyone has to touch the ball.
So this thing that happens is whenever there's a ball, the outfielders have to start converging on the infield to prepare for, to be ready to catch it and then flip it to the next person. And I remember the clip I saw was the runner took off, he got to first, right? And I think most of the time you can take the free base. But if you are on defense and you're lollygagging on getting all 9 players the ball, they can steal another base. But if you're too aggressive base running and the defense is on their shit, like the clip I saw, you trying to get to second before all 9 touch, they all flipped it to each other and tagged the guy out. So you turned a walk into an out. It really is awesome. I highly recommend people.
Well, and it's an experience, right? Because they saw baseball, which, by the way, Republican presidential candidate John Kasich, former governor of Ohio, in a 2016 interview said baseball is dying. Or will die, I should say. And I mean, they're not wrong, right? Like, baseball's financial structure is not necessarily built to exist, as they would say. Not like the NBA and the NFL. And so, like, they saw a problem with baseball and they decided to fix it, and their solution was actually pretty interesting. They went into beta testing and whatever, and they came up with a solution that is sort of like part baseball and entertainment and part circus. Like, literally, like, they have the umpire in one video did the robot after a strikeout, which was just crazy, right? We love that. Or like they have, like, again, it's a no walks rule where, like, all 9 players have to touch the ball, and you could take 2, you could take 1, whatever. A lot of the times they'll get doubles out of it and so forth. But like, games are limited to 2 hours, and on top of that, every inning is a frame in the sense of, like, tennis almost. Like, so, like, the game is sort of broken down into a series of games. So and I love this, every inning is a like, if you win the inning, that counts as a point. So your game is like, I guess if you win like two innings, you are up 2-0.
Right.
So, you know what I mean? Like, so that'll happen, and it's nice because, like, I don't know, like, a lot of innings end up in 0-0. So, like, if you win a couple innings, like, the chances that you win the game are pretty good. So it's a really nice, like, I guess, twist on baseball, and I really wish that this league, quote unquote, would expand to the United States and we could witness a lot of this in person. Like, they should go on tour and, like, play just. I don't know, like that. Like, they sell out every game. They have no problem doing it. I mean, part of it, again, it's a spectacle. It's very rare, and it's very. The MLB could learn a lot from that, and I don't know what sort of like. There's no mound visits in Banana Ball. There's no mound visit, and I think that as controversial as it sounds, perfect rule for baseball. Perfect rule. No mound visits. Because fuck, why? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, no, listen.
Like, if your pitcher sucks, they suck.
I would like, oh my God.
I'm sorry.
Bringing this back to the Tigers, I think my biggest concern, I want to end it off with this, Brad.
Yeah.
What is your biggest concern for this team this year that will hold them back from being better than they could be? And what's the most exciting part of this team? What's the part of this team that's going to make you look forward to tuning into Tigers baseball on a nice warm summer evening?
I think that I would have liked to see a more complete lineup overhaul. And, like, I have long, and I even posted a video on this where I explained specific reasons in detail why Michael Conforto, who is right now a free agent, you could just sign him right now. He should be a Detroit Tiger for several different reasons. let's not even begin to start about how the Tigers have two outfielders who are good, right? You get Michael Conforto in right field. You got a lineup worth talking about. And I think that absolutely that this team could be a wild card team if they sign Michael Conforto. 100%. You got the defense to back it up. You got Riley Green in center field, Akil Baddoo in left, Candelario at third. Second, you got Scope. Baez at short. You got Torkelson at first. You got Barnhart, who's been pretty good in spring training. You got him behind the mound.
His big thing is his defense, right?
Right, absolutely, and absolutely, I would rather have a defensive catcher batting eighth than I would have a offensive catcher. Like, dude, I couldn't give a shit about Salvador Perez. But that's the thing, like, he's an offensive catcher, but he cannot hit the ball. I mean, not hit the ball. He cannot. He is the worst at pitch framing. And also, like, I mean, you want to talk about, like, what, Gary Sanchez? Is he an offensive catcher? His defense sucks, too. Like, it's kind of rare that you find both. And I would rather have, like, a James McCann or a catcher that is, like, it's very rare that players are both, like, Pudge Rodriguez, right? Or another, Yadier Molina. Like, those players are very rare. But Barnhart's been pretty good. And then you got the rotation that has needed that sort of veteran leadership, like Eduardo Rodriguez. And now you got, your young players in Casey Mize, Tarek Skubal, etc. So, yeah, I think that this lineup is going to be exciting just because it's a different lineup and you don't have sort of that dread that you have with the Tigers just because they hadn't been doing anything before. My concerns, again, are pretty much the same. You got Akil Baddoo in left field, and I don't know that he's advanced enough in as an outfielder to be that. Like, ideally, you might have Akil Baddoo in a different position or DH. I don't know. But Miguel Cabrera is the DH, so I don't know if I'm looking forward to that. And that's another concern, too. Miguel Cabrera has been Miguel Cabrera, so I don't know.
He play at a replacement level. That's all he has to do.
I guess. Sure.
Can he just,
So I don't know, like the first year of the rebuild, or the first year after the rebuild, is always the most concerning because now it's action time. Now you gotta go. Now you gotta win games. Yep. And I guess like the reason that the season is this long is specifically to prevent teams from, and I guess that's the argument against the 162 game season, or I mean for it. Because the season's this long, it's very hard to find fakers that, at the end of the year. But I still argue it could be like 40 games shorter and you'd probably still have the same result, But it's a young team, so you don't know what to expect. So that is the exciting part just in and of itself. You might see a season that is very Red Wings-esque in the sense of like, you're going to see a lot of bright spots, but you're also going to see a lot of growing pains. I don't think that this team is as ready as Al Avila and what's his name? Al Avila and AJ Hinch and like all these guys that are members of the Tigers organization. I don't think that this team is as ready as they say it is.
Yeah, I think so too. I think we're definitely...
There's going to be a lot of growing pains.
Is gonna, like I said, I think they can win more than 77 games. I think they can be close to making that last wild card spot. But I do think some of this hype train, especially when you get into the long grind of the season, is it's definitely gonna. We're definitely gonna, put some of these guys to the test. And I think some of the hype is gonna. I don't want to say crash down, but I think people are gonna get a reality check.
And also you have to take into consideration that Torkelson and Green have not played in
A full
an
season.
MLB regular season before.
That's a long grind.
So
a lot of
it's not
games.
only that too, but once they get a few MLB at bats under their belt, teams now are going to start scouting them. And like that's why you saw the shit with Akil Baddoo. Like Baddoo had an incredible, he had a home run in his first at bat. It was insane.
Yeah,
and
he did regress a bit.
And well, right, because teams started figuring him out. It's not a lot of the times when you get into the big leagues, it's not about getting there and staying there. It's staying there is more about how you adjust to how others adjust, because others are going to adjust to you, and you got to figure out how to fix that. You know,
Right,
I mean,
exactly.
and you saw it with Baddoo, like he can't hit lefties, and he hit a home run off Ryu earlier, this week, and that was crazy. I love that. But
Yeah. No, listen, I'm very excited. We have, opening day next Friday. It's going to be a very exciting time. We're going to have a national champion in basketball to talk about next week.
yeah,
And
that's
you know
gonna
what
be
I
fun.
think we're going to do, Brad, because we'll officially be in April. We will be this time next week we will be
You know what we
will
got to
be
do?
3 weeks away from the NFL draft. We're getting the Griff Sutton mock draft 1.0.
I want to do a quote unquote mock draft. I've never, I am not an NFL guy. Like I could not tell you, I am very versed in college football, but NFL, don't like I also don't get the mock drafts like with ESPN. I kind of, did you see the one where it was what was the one guy talking about I can't remember his name. But he had the Lions taking a cornerback.
Taking a corner at 2. Yeah, whatever. I just don't. It's not even
That's going to be on
realistic.
my mock draft to show you how much credibility I have and let you know that you can never trust me again.
Yeah. So I'll break it down for you.
I'm sure you will. You'll help me break it down. You can teach me
Yeah.
how the draft works.
I will, Brad. I will, just for you. Anyway, so is there anything else you want to talk about this week before we send the people off?
Yeah, I want to talk about credit card debt. It's actually a pretty serious experience. And
All
if
right,
you have a lot of it.
It's been a great show. Thank you so much for listening. If you're not from the state of North Carolina, you probably, aren't rooting for anyone in the Final Four this weekend. But whatever your bets are, I hope those are prosperous and have good fortune. Have a great weekend, everyone. Be nice to each other. It's chaos. Be kind. Be curious, not judgmental. All of those really popular
My man,
things
Ted
from
Lasso.
yeah, super cliche now, and overused to hell. But you know what? It's a good point. Anyway, Brad, can you play me out here?
With what? I actually remember how I lost all my shit. I don't have a track.
Okay.
I got this. I can do that.
And I'm just gonna say goodbye, everyone. Thank you very much for listening to this episode. Stop it. Thank you very much for listening. Oh God, no. Why'd you do that? Episode of Take This. We'll be back next week, like I said, to talk about some mock draft and March Madness recap. Good luck with your bets. Be smart with your bets. Be nice to each other. And we'll see you next week. And don't forget to make your free throws. Brad, die in a hole. Bye.